And so there's people that bring you up, and if they do, spend more time with them. There's those that bring you down, and then you have two choices. You can limit your time with them, or you can eliminate your time with them.
Absolutely.
And so for me, when I first got started, I was quite immature, and what I did was I eliminated everybody. Like, if you're not for me, you're against me. Mm-hmm. And there was some...
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Barcast. We're not in Baltimore.
No, we're not. We're letting everybody down. We're in Raleigh.
We are in Raleigh, and we have a repeat but never aired guest. We have Chuck here with us, and the reason we're in Raleigh, we wanted to do some recording for season 2. So this is a little bit of a precursor. We are in an amazing bar called Haymaker, and we have a really great podcast up for you. So give it up for
fat hand out of the camera.
They're not going to see it.
Just kidding. Give it up.
So get it up for Chuck and Haymaker, and you're not. Oh, you know what? No, that's fine. Yeah, give it up for Chuck.
Chuck.
Hey. I feel the love.
Yeah. So
this is very impromptu.
the best thing that could have happened was last year the audio was messed up because we're going to do it better this year.
Yeah.
And you look better this year.
Yeah, I feel better this year.
I know.
I've had some time to evolve.
I know I look worse. You just told me off air that I look chunky.
No. I said bulking, like solid, like The Rock.
What a bullshit line to give somebody. You look like you're in a bulking phase.
I thought dudes like that, man. Would you rather say
carb
you look
loading.
tiny?
Are you carb
skinny?
loading? Yes, I'm training for the Tour de France.
Have you lost weight?
And we've got cocktails this time.
Yes, this is amazing. Shout out to Josh again
Gagne.
of Haymaker.
Josh Gagne, go follow him.
This is something. I mean, this is the best drink I think I've ever had.
He told me what this was, but I totally already forgot. It was something about honey
and pineapple.
It's fancy.
Honey, pineapple.
Yep. I got obviously this
honey buddy.
insanely large orange peel.
This is going to be a train wreck, and I'm so looking forward to it. So let's
Choo-choo.
commence the train wreck.
All right. So what's up, Chuck?
Hey, what's happening? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure, one of my good friends, Chuck, I wanted to have you on because, this Barcast is about the entrepreneurial journey, and really it's about pulling the curtain back on the journey, right? Because social media tends to glamorize the entrepreneurship journey, and that's not everything that it's about. Like, there are highs and lows, and there's a lot of lows. And you and I meet, for lunch like once a month, and we talk about it. So ironically enough, that's kind of how Brad and I came up with the idea of the Barcast. Was we would have lunch and we talk when we were starting our businesses. And so we like to talk about the journey. And I'm hoping through this conversation, we talk about your journey a little bit, because right now, currently, you're still trying to figure out where the journey's taking you, because it's changed over the course of a few years. So talk about what you're doing now, and if you want to give a little bit of background of your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. I can talk about the highs, probably not as good as I can talk about the lows, because there's been a lot of those. So currently I am in the real estate industry. I am a real estate coach and the managing director of a real estate firm. I am also a real estate agent, leaning more towards that. That's what I was years and years ago. Found myself more in the coaching space now, but have been, I think, missing that sales piece of it that I'm looking to get back towards.
Okay. And on the side, do you do any hair modeling? Or
I'm beginning. I am taking requests.
Maybelline or Paul Mitchell?
We hit each other up beforehand.
Revlon is what I've done in the past.
You guys trying to show me up?
We definitely have better hair than you.
Yeah, I feel like it's flowing pretty good.
Do a poll on who has better hair. I mean, I know I'm not in the race, but I'm curious as what they think.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. We should put a poll out.
Well, I'd be lying if I didn't. Well, how would I say this? I have seen some episodes before, and your hair, focal point. Like, I knew what I was getting into today, so I wasn't going to show up. Looking all ragtag.
What's bullshit is right before the episode starts, he always does this thing, and he's like, and then he does this, and I'm like, do you have to do that?
I sure do.
You
Yeah.
got to do it slow, and you got to kind of look.
Yeah.
While you do it.
Yeah. Well, you're training for a marathon. So I just want to point out for everybody that thinks so Chuck's actually a lot older than he looks. He's like, what are you, 58?
61 next month.
Oh, damn.
He's training for a marathon. So he's like with 2 weeks out.
2 weeks out. 2 weeks from today, literally.
So normally if you saw him, he'd be
thicker
in his bulking phase.
Yeah, thicker. Thicker. 2 weeks out, 45, be 46 in September. But
we used to run
good.
bars together.
That's fantastic.
Chuck actually brought me out to Raleigh, and we have this great picture from, it's probably over 10 years. 10 years?
It was 12 years. It was in 2008.
We have this great picture. We went to NC State football tailgate, and we both have these bellies, and we're like pushing it out. We both have these bellies. I'll show you the picture.
It is not attractive.
And we've got like sweaty, meat sweat face and like
beers and
face rolls.
And barbecue maybe in the other hand.
Oh,
I'm not
man.
sure.
It's remind me to show you that
Okay.
picture.
Yeah,
Ooh, it's
a good one.
embarrassing.
I don't think I've ever seen you like that.
Well, we're fine wine.
Yeah,
Right?
we get better with age, right?
Yeah, we're fine wine. So I
feeling
feel
it.
blessed about that.
I'm definitely fine wine. You should see my high school picture. My like senior picture, it's bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Really
Let's
bad.
work it in.
I was
Let's see it.
145 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What are you now? 245 pounds?
Close.
Bulking.
I'm in bulking.
Bulking
stage.
Totally. That's what we do.
So, what is? I just have direct questions about business. So, like, what is your relationship with the entrepreneurial journey? Because you've done a few businesses, and without getting, we don't have to get into like the thick of the businesses, but overall, like, you said you have had lows, you've had highs and lows. Does it ever get frustrating that you've done some businesses, and like, do you see yourself as an entrepreneur in the future where you're gonna own more businesses? Or like, have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever stopped seeing myself as an entrepreneur, even though I've gone through a phase right now working for somebody, like working in a company. That doesn't leave. You know, I think you have that in you, or you don't. And my life has been a journey of finding my path. That in times I was really in it, and in times I've fallen out of it. But I don't think that I can ever stay out of it. It's like a love affair or an addiction, something you can't shake. I wouldn't be happy if I was doing anything else other than building something.
What's the most challenging part of entrepreneurship, in your opinion?
For me, and I was thinking about this question literally yesterday, for me, I think one of the answers is the judgment and the thoughts of other people that I struggled with for a long time, and trying to be all things to all people and letting other people's thoughts and opinions, or at least what I thought might be their thoughts and opinions, maybe dictate more of my decisions than they should have.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that. That was really important, because this is what fires me up. I'm trying to get this fired up session where like I just go off.
Go.
But it fires me up because we put so much value on people's opinions that have never been where we want to be, right? And it fires me up, not that we give value on it, but it fires me up that people actually like, to me it's disrespectful that you come to somebody and you try to tell them how to run their business, what they should do, what their steps should be, what they shouldn't do. And it's like, have you ever ran a business? Have you ever ran a successful business? And so one of the things I talk to when I speak with the people I coach with, the owners I coach with, the business owners, is like explaining to them, like, don't put so much value on people's opinions that have never been to where you're trying to go. And you have to be more intentional. The people that have the information you want aren't giving it out freely. They aren't just, saying it to everybody that comes. Like, they have it and you have to get it from them. So like, figure out who's where you want to be and start picking their brain and silence all the other noise. So like, just stop listening to the nonsense that these people are telling you that have never been there.
Right.
But haven't we done that our whole lives? Like, doesn't that
That's what
start
we're
when we're
programmed.
kids, right?
That's what we're programmed in.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I just carried a lot of that with me, and I didn't even maybe realize it until recently. Like, I've had businesses that one way to look at it was they failed, or another way to look at it was they just learned, right? Failure, you learn. And I think that part of why I learned, if you will, or why they failed, was I was really concerned with what other people were thinking, and it goes all the way back to being a kid. Like, I can trace it all the way back.
So I actually think that there's also a lot more pressure on people like me in the line of business that I'm doing, just because of everybody. It's all eyes on the creator as far as from a YouTube standpoint, and it's like they're waiting for you to fail, and you're trying to put all of your heart and soul into something like this. I mean, I probably would say that I spend anywhere from 3 to 5 hours per video on trying to create content that's good quality content that people are going to get something out of, and they're just waiting for you to fail, which adds a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I know why that is. Do you know why that is?
Nope.
So what I think it is I think people are insecure and they're constantly comparing themselves to everybody else. Yes. And instead of being supportive when they see somebody starting to like widen that gap between where they are and where they are, they want to pull them back down. So they want to see you fail so they don't feel as bad about themselves.
Yes. Do we get 2 fired up sessions?
We can. Well, let's do it.
That's exactly what it is. It's because they want to know that you're no different than them.
Yeah.
So they'll pull you down. There's very few people that build you up. They pull you down, and it's not even about you. It's more about them than it is about you.
Right.
I agree 100%. If you could do anything more than 100%, I would agree.
I think that's good.
Because it also fires me up when people say 1,000%. That's a whole nother fired up session.
We won't do that.
This fired up session has been brought to you by Josh Gagne. Thanks, Josh. Oh man!
Ooh.
Good.
I don't know.
It's a stiff one.
Oh man! Woo! All right. So, what was the original question I asked you?
How I got my hair looking like this.
Ah.
Yeah, no, we were talking about the struggles in business, and I have done a number of different things, but I've always I will and have always seen myself as an entrepreneur, and I definitely will stay in that space. I'm figuring out my path, I guess.
So we talked about kind of the low, but like, what do you think the key to success for entrepreneurship is? Not even key to success, but like, what's important?
Yeah, what's kept you going?
I think the biggest thing that keeps me going is hope and a vision. Like having a vision for something that's greater than what it is right now, and constantly working towards that. I feel like I've got to be progressing, moving towards something all the time, and if I'm not, then I'm very unhappy. And so I think if I were to be in a typical maybe job, in the expectations were the same all the time and there wasn't much room for growth or progress, I'd feel miserable. And so what keeps me going is constantly improving and growing towards something.
Yeah. What do you, I want to talk about the mindset, because you mentioned the mind, and I think that is all that matters. Because there's people who have products, they're entrepreneurs that their skill set isn't like greater than anybody else's. They actually may not have as good of a product, but or their knowledge, anything like that. But like, I think that the mindset is not talked about enough, because when you slow down, it's usually because you're in your own head. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe that it's simple. Thoughts become things. And so everything we think about, we can bring about, to be a little bit cheesy. And so mindset's everything. What you're telling yourself on a daily basis, what you're thinking about as far as how you feel, what you're thinking about is what your goals are. All of that matters tremendously. And so I think that you can condition the mind, but we have a natural tendency to gravitate towards this maybe autopilot that we were brought up as kids, and we have this program that replays in our minds for what our parents or those around us were teaching us all the time. And so if we want to change that, we've got to be aware of it, right? And then we got to put new thoughts into there, and then we got to keep those new thoughts.
So I want to create a plan of action and some key items to deal with that. And so, because you've been there, because we've talked about that, where the mindset's impacted you. I've been there. When last year we talked about when I lost my biggest client, I wanted to show up, but you even said like, I could still tell. Like, I put on a face, and then you've been there.
Right.
Where every quarter I get the call, where I want to just blow it all up and start over again.
Yes.
And I have to talk you off the ledge. But I have some ideas on people who are in that stage, what they can do. So I'll kick it off, and I want you guys to add to the conversation. So how do we, not even in the stage, but to prepare yourself, to prepare your mindset, I think what's really important is create, I call it just like an advisory group, like creative and abortive advisories for you. the people we talked about, the people you trust. So find a few people you trust who you can go to, not only to make sure that you're thinking about things right, but when you are down, they can almost be like your therapy group. So I think you should have an advisory group. And then I think that the other thing that is really important is like just continue to stay active. And I think you do that through like trying to just create a schedule. So those are the things that I would say, especially the advisory group, because they're going to be able to shoot you straight because they're going to be able to be objective and not in the situation. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I mean, and you're that person for me. You know, I mean,
that's so sweet.
we've talked about that before. That, you know, I think it really comes down to just finding somebody who's been through the same shit that you've been through.
Yes. Amen.
And, you know, what better person than somebody who has been your former instructor and then friend and now
Did you know that?
officer and
Yeah, I did know that.
Okay.
officer in my own business. So I mean, it's definitely something that, and even Jake, my partner Jake, we both share our same frustrations and going, you know, complaining about things that, you know, just venting. Really, I mean, sometimes
but
you
it's
just
a little
need, you just
tougher
need
for him
sounding
because he's Canadian, so he speaks French and you don't. So there's that language barrier.
board. He just speaks. He's here, by the way.
Well, there is Canadian and then there's French Canadian.
Oh, I didn't know how it worked.
No, yeah.
Not all Canadians speak French. I
Oh,
don't
does
think.
he speak English?
So the word bud means a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Just like
A-
and wicked.
Ah.
Ah, yeah.
That
Learn
has
something new every day.
several different definitions.
Oh, okay. What do you think? Not about Canadians, but
Oh, I love Canadians actually, so I could talk about Canadians all day long. But if we're going to talk about, you know, your advisory group, I think that's super smart. I realized when I started one of my business ventures, and it was more of a kind of a solopreneur kind of thing, that I needed to surround myself, and I think it matters with any business. I had to surround myself with positivity, and I had to insulate myself from those that didn't believe in me,
Yeah.
and those that wanted to bring me down or to tarnish the dream, so to speak. And so I believe, and Jim Rohn talks about, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Right.
And what you need to do is you need to take inventory of who those
Yes.
people are on a regular basis. And so
Damn.
there's people that bring you up, and if they do, spend more time with them. There's
Yes.
those that bring you down, and then you have 2 choices. You can limit your time with them, or
Yes.
you can eliminate your time with them.
Absolutely.
And so for me, when I first got started, I was quite immature, and what I did was I eliminated everybody. Like, if you're not for me, you're against me. And there was some good in that, but also I found that now I'm having to rebuild a lot of relationships that maybe shouldn't have been eliminated. They should have just been reduced a little bit.
Well, let me ask you something. So do you think that because you did that, that's landed you where you're at right now? Because, I mean, even though you maybe have gone about eliminating them in the wrong way, but was it still the right decision to make?
I think it was in that time because I was so focused on the business that they definitely should have been. I don't think they should have been eliminated. I think they should have been way reduced. The time I spent in those relationships should have been way just reduced, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe everything's led me to this point right here. And I think that's how I look back over my whole journey in business and in life, and that all the dots have connected to be exactly in this moment. And I'm learning to feel really grateful for that. It hasn't always come easy because there's been a lot of ups and downs. I mean, we can go as deep as you want to go. And so in the moment, you don't notice that. You don't feel that. You just feel things are crumbling, right? But now looking back, all of those had to happen to get me where I'm going right now, which is a pretty good spot. But I believe that where I'm going in the future is going to be even better. And all this crap had to happen before.
what you said that really resonated with me, all of it, you're dropping a lot of good stuff. Like in all seriousness,
Yeah.
What really resonated with me was when you said I eliminated all of them, because I think that's a knee jerk. Where like you feel like everybody's against you.
Yep.
I think so. His response to you was like, you know, maybe it was a good thing or whatever. But I actually think that that's a safer bet, because if they're truly your friends, you can get that back, right? It's almost like a bad customer experience. Sometimes our best customers come from the worst experiences because it doesn't really matter what the action is. It matters how you respond to it. So if you go back, and I know this is you as a person, and I know you've already done this, but if you go back and you admit fault and you apologize, if they really cared about you, they would forgive you.
Yeah.
And then you're okay, right? So I don't put as much weight in making the wrong decision in the moment or not. I think the reflection is the most powerful thing in making things right. And as you think about them, okay, did I need to eliminate anybody? Okay, no, but who do I want to keep? So
Can I interrupt you?
No.
You know, one thing I'm going to. This is my show. You know, one thing I learned from you that sticks with me.
Oh, it's about me.
Yeah. This is about you. It's not about how good you look, but maybe we'll get there. It's one thing that I learned from you was to try and eliminate or remove emotion from big decisions, because it's really hard to look at things objectively because of who we are, right? And so now when I have a big decision I'm trying to make, like eliminating a friendship or something like that, trying to remove the emotion behind it and trying to be a little bit more objective. And I learned that from you.
Thanks. I don't remember telling you that, but I think that's right.
Yeah. Does it sound like something you might say?
Sounds awesome.
Maybe it wasn't you. It was you. Right?
I always have time for a referral. Or I'm never too busy for a referral.
Yeah, that's my thing,
I would
right?
throw that in there.
You messed it up.
That's awesome. Describe what it feels like describe what it felt like when you were at your lowest point. Can you articulate that? You're really good articulating things. Like, what does it feel like when you're at your lowest point as an entrepreneur?
Hopeless. Yeah. Lost. Totally insecure. Just like you've failed and you've made all the bad decisions that have led you to where you are in that moment, and you've lost out on time. That's what it felt like, especially I'll be 46 in a couple months, and I had the mindset for a while, and even still today I have to remind myself of this, that I'm midlife, I'm middle-aged, there's only X number of years possibly left. And so when I was at my lowest and feeling like the most like a failure, if you will, realizing, shit, can you swear on this?
Yeah.
Shit, I lost all this time, and now how do I make that up? Can you make that up? Like, what's that look like now? Like, is this all over for me? Should I just get a job and just coast?
There's been a lot of times where I've even felt like that, and we haven't even really.
You're not even 46.
Right. But it's just when I felt like I was at my lowest, I was actually looking for job openings, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, this is more trouble than it's worth, so I can definitely, relate to that feeling. The business hasn't even failed. So, but I think there was just so much immense pressure that I had felt that way at times.
Well, here's what I did too. So playing off of that. So when my most recent business, quote unquote, failed, and I was in a position where we have no income coming in. It's my wife and I, and we have 2 small kids. We have a house. We have all the bills everybody else has, right? And I'm at that point now where I'm like, what are my options? Like, my business is now closed. I have no income. And I'm like, what's my plan? I've been an entrepreneur for the last, pretty much, give or take, my whole professional life. And I'm in my 40s now, and I just lost my income. What do I do? And so there's a big part of me that's like, you can't get a job. You can't get a job. That's not who you are. But there's also a big part of me that's like, you got to provide for your family. You've got to do the right thing. You just take a step forward. Like, I think of a quote that's like, you don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step, right? And so I'm like, if my first step is getting a job, let me get a job and then I'll figure it out. And so that's what I had to do 2 years ago. And now I'm working back towards that.
You've been really honest throughout the process. And I think I respect that, and I think that's been something that's been very good for you to be able to vocalize it and work through it. Because, a couple of months ago, I hope you don't mind me saying, but like,
you can say anything.
You were in a tough spot. Like, you were struggling, and it's good to see you coming back.
Yeah.
Like, right, the guy coming back, and tying it back to the board of advisors. It's probably safe to say that your wife would be considered probably like the chair of your board if you had a board of advisors. And we've never talked about this, but through our conversations, when you talk about your wife, I think it's fair for me to say that, like, I respect how the role she's played in your journey. And I hope that if I ever married, like, I have somebody like that, because it sounds like she has been able to like put things in perspective for you. But even just like when we talk about build you up, just say like, don't worry about us. Like do you and make it and make you feel comfortable with jumping in again and taking chances. So talk about the role your wife has played in, I don't know, like I'm kind of getting chills and I have no idea why, but like talk about the role your wife has played in just getting through the really hard times and also building your confidence back up to jump back in.
Yeah, she's everything. I mean, in our relationship, she is that number one person. We have such a great relationship because we both have that entrepreneurial thing inside of us, and so we can communicate in ways that maybe other people in relationships maybe can't, that don't both feel that or have experienced that in the past. But she's also she's very emotional. She's very feeling oriented, which has helped me a lot because that's been something I've struggled with my whole life, was actually like tapping into my feelings and being like, okay, what do I feel in this moment?
It's like a man thing.
Yeah, right? And so she's been very, very helpful with that. But she's also very, maybe logical is not the word, but she's very like, she can be objective. She can tell me.
Like level-headed?
Yeah, she's level-headed. She can tell me when I'm wrong or I'm only looking at it from one lens, and she can help me kind of turn that camera around so I can see it on a different angle. And so that's been huge. She'll pick me up when I need to be picked up, but there isn't a lot of rah-rah with her. There's a lot of, okay, how are you feeling right now? Why are you feeling that way? What can you do in this moment to change that? And is the feeling you're having right now like permanent, right? And so she was super, super helpful. The biggest thing, so when my last business failed, if you will, also very short time later, my best friend of almost 40 years died suddenly, dropped dead of a heart attack. Like we've been friends since we were 6 years old. And my dog died, 13-year-old dog, a couple months later. So I had all this loss at one time. And like, I wasn't suicidal, but I was also like, what's it all for? Like why even do all this? And so like that was the hopeless feeling. That was the bottom of the barrel. And she no doubt helped me get through all that.
I mean, you were basically depressed, it sounds like.
I would say so. Yeah.
And the cool thing that I really want to point out is like, that's rare. Like, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that I see that they have that stress and their partner doesn't support them because it may be out of fear, whatever it is, but it takes a lot for somebody you're impacting her life and you have kids to be able to still support you and think about it objectively, which I think is a huge takeaway from this session, is like the ability to think about it objectively and remove the emotion. Whoever said that is a freaking genius.
I mean, it literally is truly making a business decision.
Yes, it's treating. Yeah,
That's right.
so that's super awesome. Changing gears, if you had to list all your friends in important order of importance, where would I stand on that? Top two?
Top two out of how many?
No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
but seriously, we can say that, and this will build you up, but that's not my intention.
Stop.
It's not really. I really don't want you to be built up in this moment, but I will.
Because the thing of it is, here's what happens with Christian. You build him up, and then he can barely fit his head through the door.
No,
so he
it's
needs
double
friends.
doors, baby. It's double doors.
He needs friends like you and I to keep.
We gotta keep him level.
Yeah.
This is for you. But no, but on that board of advisors, going back to that, if my wife Brooke is number one and she is, you literally would be number two.
For sure.
The conversations. Well, let's not push it. The conversations we've had over the past year, because you and I have reconnected, so to speak. Like we parted for a few years, right? Those are
Because of me, we reconnected. I just want to say for the record, because of me.
He's right. I'll give you that. But that has been huge for me. The conversations we've had, having another male figure in my life that I can communicate openly and honestly with, because this wasn't who I was years ago. Right now, I'll talk about anything.
You were bald years ago. I'm going to stop. I'll stop with the jokes. Bald. I said
because of this?
This isn't me years ago. I was bald. Sorry, go.
And way heavier.
I'm done.
Way heavier.
I'm done.
But you've helped me process a lot of things.
Yeah. I think... And you've done the same, and we've had that same relationship. I hope you're not getting jealous, by the way, of this relationship.
No.
Well, to end it, to start closing this out, the one question that's really important that we ask everybody, and I'm putting you on the spot. I should have told you I was going to ask you this. But, the one piece of feedback you'd give to business owners, and the way I frame it is like, if you had to go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you started this, what would you give it?
When I started which part?
Your entrepreneurial journey, like at the very beginning.
I would say spend more time within. Spend more time quietly in your thoughts, figuring out, what you want to do, but more importantly, why you want to do it. I think it's very easy for people to get wrapped up in what other people are doing and say, I want to do that because this is what they're doing or what it looks like they're doing, when really people are only putting their highlight reel out there for us to see. So we don't know what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. And so figure out what you want, but why you want it. Because if you're really, really tied to why you want to do something, you have so much more power and you have so much more likelihood that you're going to achieve it. If you're doing something just because for someone else, for your mom, for your friend, for what you think is the right thing, you're gonna have a rough go at it.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good advice.
I think it's great. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's and if you seen It Starts With Why, or Simon Sinek's YouTube?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I've read his book. I follow a lot of what he does. I like him a lot.
That's like a great message.
So I just stole that from him. Thanks for calling me out.
I'm not trying to throw you on the bus.
That's probably
but I want
safe,
people
though.
to be able to look at, find those things, because if that resonates, I think people should listen to that. Read Cynic or watch that YouTube channel. I'll toast to that.
Yeah.
So it's time.
All right, let's do it.
Do you want to explain what's about to go down?
What is about to go down is the toast competition, the People's Toasts. Well, toast competition. If you would like to give your own toast, feel free to do so in the comments. And so basically this part of the show is where Christian comes up with a toast. I come up with mine. I guess you were, in pre-production warned about this too. So hopefully you came up with, okay.
However, I made it up, so we'll see how it goes.
No, making it up is fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
because
doesn't happen often that people come with their own toast. Usually sometimes people just find it on the internet.
Yeah, well, I'm super creative.
like this guy.
That's all he does.
I'm not creative at all.
You've heard the toast Brad's about to give. We don't know what our toasts are.
You haven't.
But I know that.
You haven't heard it.
Is yours original?
No.
Then I've heard it.
Did you guys
Yeah.
write yours down?
Yeah.
So
That probably would have been a
I
good
usually
idea.
memorize it, but this is the first time I'm actually writing it down because I want to deliver it right.
I wasn't trying to memorize 3 all at once.
We should guests should always have the honor.
Yes, let's do it.
Can I defer or should I just go?
Is it like the kickoff of football?
I was going to say, nobody flipped a coin.
I can go. Pardon me.
Grab your mocktail.
So here's to you. Here's to me. Here's to us. Here's to we. Let's stay in this present moment eternally. Unless, of course, you have to pee. Then just go. We'll wait here for you.
Cheers to that.
You delivered that well. You just came up with that?
Yeah, I came up with it when you told me I had to do a toast.
That was
That was
fantastic.
like an hour before
Someone
you
should
got
fact
here.
check that and make sure I've never seen that anywhere before, but I think I came up with it.
Well, you did use the beginning of a very common
I know. I was
one.
trying to throw you off.
That's
Because
fantastic.
you're like, oh, no, we heard this one.
Good.
Mine?
Sure.
All right.
Christian Castro is.
Don't you read that. Don't you read that. That is for another episode.
Oh, okay.
Here's the panties. They ain't the best thing in the world, but they're damn close.
Cheers to that.
So my toast. Hi, everybody. Cash here. Follow me on IG, cash_here, for all good content such as this. All my toasts are original, and this one is, I like to think about my guests, and so this is inspired by you and your training for a marathon. My company's name is 262 Hospitality, and the 262 comes from 26.2 miles in a marathon. So it was at the time when I completed my marathon, because I've only ran one, it was the first bucket list item I had ever completed. So I think I am able to speak on the marathon topic. Have you ran a marathon before? Didn't you run one before?
I ran one over 10 years ago.
Okay. So you've done it, but I think my advice is still good. And so this is a toast, but it's also to give you a little bit of advice about your marathon. I'm sorry. I
You
can't
got
even
this.
start it. Trust your training. Pace yourself. Don't worry about the race itself. When you hit the wall, and you will hit the wall, don't you fall. Because if you do, you can bet your ass that I will disown you.
I was going to say that could be good business philosophy
Yeah.
too until that last
I was going to say.
Cheers to that.
Oh, man. Forever.
Forever.
Deal.
Dude, we appreciate you.
Yeah, I
man. Thanks
appreciate
so
it.
much for
Coming
coming
on.
on.
Thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
And thanks for Josh and
Gagne?
Yeah. And the Haymaker Bar here in Raleigh. We are not in Baltimore, even though this will be on the Baltimore season. Just a little precursor, guys, for next season. I can't wait for season 2. It's going to be incredible.
We're going to blow it out of the water season 2.
It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So that's going to do it for us today, guys.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that little notification.
Yeah, click the notification bell. You know what to do. And thank you so much for tuning in. And that's it, guys. Have a good one. What?
And don't forget,
Oh, shit.
if you don't drink Jack,
You're an ass.
you're an ass.